My name is Lauren. I'm 29 years old, and I live in a peaceful town in Oregon where spring streets are always filled with the scent of lavender and cinnamon rolls from the little corner bakery. 3 weeks ago, I gave birth to my first child, a handsome baby boy named Elijah. The moment I heard his cry in the delivery room, it felt like the world stopped. But my dream of becoming a mother wasn't as sweet as I'd imagined. Because from the moment I got pregnant, the person who should have been the happiest, my mother, was the first to make me cry. My mother's name is Margaret. A woman who once had sharp eyes and a smile that commanded respect. But to me, she was never a source of comfort. Even as a child, I knew where I stood with her, always in the shadow of my younger sister, Emily, who's now 24. Emily was the kind of daughter my mother praised, beautiful, always smiling at the right moments, speaking sweetly, and, most importantly, always making my mother proud. I, on the other hand, was the stubborn daughter who studied social work instead of business like she wanted, and got married before having a stable career, as she warned. Emily got engaged earlier this year, and the wedding was set for December. By then, I would have just given birth to Elijah. This, according to my mother, was a PR disaster for the family. I remember that summer afternoon vividly. She came to my house carrying a bag of cookies I used to love as a kid, her face glowing like she was about to share happy news. But her joy faded when she looked down at my belly and frowned slightly. "Lauren, we need to have a serious talk," she said, setting her teacup down, her voice colder than her initial smile. "You know Emily's planning her wedding. You having a baby right before it is really inappropriate." I almost choked. "What do you mean, Mom?" "I mean," she leaned forward, eyes gleaming with calculation, "people will only pay attention to you and the baby. What about Emily? She only gets one wedding day. Could you delay announcing the birth? Keep things quiet at least until after the wedding." I stayed silent for a few seconds, unable to believe what I was hearing. "You want me to hide my son like he's something to be ashamed of?" She didn't answer right away. She just looked at me as if trying to teach me a lesson I was too foolish to understand. "It's not about you," she finally said. "It's about the family. About Emily." I looked her straight in the eyes. "Mom, Emily and I have never been close. You know that. She didn't even send me a wedding invite. Why should I sacrifice my first moments as a mother so she can have a perfect wedding?" Margaret stood up, grabbed the bag of cookies, and left her untouched tea on the table. "I only want what's best for both of you. If you can't understand that, I have nothing more to say." The door closed behind her, but inside me, something opened. I had never seen it so clearly. My mother had never truly been on my side. To her, I was always just the shadow of the perfect daughter Emily represented. 3 weeks later, when Elijah was born, my mother wasn't at the hospital. Instead, she posted a photo of herself helping Emily try on wedding dresses, captioned, "A precious moment for a proud mother and me." I cradled Elijah in my arms and whispered, "I don't need her here. My son is here, and from now on, I'll be the mother he deserves." Since that day, I haven't heard a single call or message from my mother. No check-ins, no sign that she even cared about her new grandson. My house became strangely quiet, but healthier. James, my husband, stood by me, gently reassuring me, "Family isn't always right, but you are doing right." I gave birth to Elijah on an early autumn afternoon, when the leaves outside the hospital window were turning golden and orange. My heart exploded with happiness when I heard his first cry. James held my hand, too overwhelmed to speak. Yet the woman who had given birth to me wasn't there. James told me later, when I was lying in bed holding Elijah, exhausted but in awe. I called her Lauren. She said she was busy taking Emily to a cake tasting. Then she hung up. I said nothing. I just turned my head to look at Elijah sleeping peacefully against my chest. The sweet scent of his tiny head, the warmth of his little body. All of it made me realize I couldn't keep forcing myself to live up to a mother I never really had. 3 days after we brought Elijah home, a handwritten letter was slipped under the door. It was from my mother. No apology. Not a single line asking how the delivery went or how her grandson was doing. Just one cold statement. Do not bring Elijah to the wedding. And preferably, don't let anyone in the family know you gave birth. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But James, he was furious. He crushed the letter in his fist and threw it in the trash. I know you promised your dad you'd always look after her, he said. But when are you going to stop letting her chain you down with family guilt? I stayed silent. In my mind, I didn't hear my mother's words. I heard my father's weak voice from years ago, holding my hand from his hospital bed. Margaret's complicated, but I believe you'll be the one to keep this family together. And I had, until I realized you can't hold together something that was never truly whole. A week later, I got a text from my aunt, my mother's older sister, who rarely got involved. Lauren, your mom said you don't want to keep Elijah and are thinking about giving him up. Is that true? I froze. I had never said that. Never even thought about it. I immediately called back, my voice shaking. Where did you hear that? Margaret told me. She said you're overwhelmed, inexperienced, and looking for other options. She said she would take care of it. I felt my heart sink. A prickly, sharp fear crept into my thoughts. I knew my mother could be selfish, but to lie about me wanting to abandon my child? For what? James listened to the whole call, and for the first time since Elijah was born, he couldn't stay calm. What do you think she's planning, Lauren? We need to confront this now. I nodded, gripping the phone tightly, trying to stay composed. In my mind, a terrifying thought surfaced for the first time. Maybe my mother was plotting something behind my back. And this time, it wasn't just about hurt feelings. It was about Elijah. The child I had carried and brought into this world being put at risk. I never imagined the day would come when I'd have to protect my son from his own grandmother. But my mother's instincts whispered, if that's the case, I won't back down. I was nursing Elijah when the phone rang. It was my mother's number. After everything, I didn't want to pick up, but the ringing kept going, insistent like a warning bell. I muted it, flipping the phone face down on the table. But minutes later, texts flooded in. Lauren, pick up. It's urgent. It's about Elijah. I felt a chill crawl down my spine. James walked into the room, immediately noticing my expression. What's wrong? I handed him the phone. He read the texts, his brow furrowing. Do you want me to call back? I nodded. I didn't know what I was expecting. An apology? An explanation. But nothing could have prepared me for what she was about to say. James put the phone on speaker. James. Her voice was shaky, breathless. I have something to confess. But Lauren needs to hear it. He looked at me, silently asking if I was sure. I took a deep breath and grabbed the phone. This is Lauren. Lauren. She sighed, like a weight had lifted from her chest. You need to hear this before someone else calls you. They might call you from the adoption agency. I froze. What? It's my fault. I went to a private agency. I lied and said you and James weren't capable of raising Elijah. That you both had a history of substance use. I forged your signature. I faked the paperwork. But they found out. They said they're reporting it to the authorities. I collapsed into the chair, my hands clutching Elijah's blanket as if trying to hold on to reality. Her words cut into me like knives. Forgery. Lies. Taking my son to an adoption agency. You were going to give my child away? I barely recognized my own voice. It was so hollow it scared me. That's not it, my mother hurriedly said. I thought it would be better for you. And for Emily. I didn't want you overshadowing her wedding. I couldn't listen anymore. I hung up. No tears. No screams. I just silently cradled my son. A few hours later, we got an official call from the adoption agency. A legal representative named Denise explained that the adoption process had been immediately suspended after they discovered serious document fraud. including forged medical records and false claims about the parents' situation. Mrs. Lauren, Denise said gently, we sincerely apologize for any harm this situation may have caused your family. And I must also inform you, we have reported this incident to the authorities. James squeezed my hand. I saw him trying hard to hold it together, but I knew holding it in only made it hurt more. We once thought my mother was just biased. But now, she had crossed a line no relationship could recover from. That night, I wrote a full statement detailing everything. We scheduled a meeting with a lawyer for the next day. I had no choice. Elijah couldn't grow up in a world where his own grandmother had tried to strip him away from his parents. When I signed my name at the bottom of the page, I didn't feel relief. I felt empty. But I knew it had to be done. And if my mother thought she could hide behind doing it for the family, to excuse her actions, this time, she was wrong. I was no longer the daughter trying to please her. I was a mother now. And I would protect Elijah, even if it meant standing against the woman who gave birth to me.